really good being able to live in by myself because I get to broadcast whenever I want. But until my neighbors knock on the door and I realize, oh wait, I'm making loud sounds. But until then, I feel free. Um, Free to go as I wish. Let me just get some things here. So, um, this is a prompt. I use this a lot. I usually use this a lot. I continue to use a lot. I continue to use all these things. And they're good ways of showing how different these models uh, perform. So we're gonna change it from Arato to GLM. Arato was I never quite got that much of a hang of it, but then again I was all caught up in Gemini at the moment. I'm rambling. Um, Fall into Judeo-Christian buckets. And here I want hybrids, outliers. Okay, that should be it. And then what we're gonna do, 1,000 characters, sure. Oh, let's do that. We'll do that for right now. Very good. No big whoop. None. No whoop at all. Very hardly much whoop. Any whoop. Any. None. Oh. Okay. Hopefully this okay, the connection's fine. It's just the animation that's all in here. There we go. That's no good, I don't think. Okay. Well, I'm sure it was very fascinating for you. Let's do it. No, wait. Ah, damn it. Hold on. I always forget. Guess who this voice is?
Welcome to Sunday Go-To-Meeting, where we press this button which produces a random faith, active or extinct, always real or eternally fictional, grandiose or petty as fuck. And once the faith is randomly determined, we will listen to the homily of the week from the pastoral agent of that particular faith, and we will employ discernment on its message to extract what relevance and value it has for our lives. Now quick, I've got an interview about a sweet roll of ice. Don't worry, I'm just part of the resistance that resists against the resistance. You press the button, and the machine does its thing as I collect your drinks and place your things out near the exit, but not before a quick faith of the week. This week's randomly generated faith is a syncretic fusion of ancient Iberian animism with hyper-capitalist logistics doctrines known as the logistics animism type religious philosophical movement. Practices cargo blessing rites, ritualized supply chain mapping, oracle readings via QR codes. Core tenets. The sacred is manifest in flow of goods, data, and capital. Stagnation is a cardinal sin movement, however chaotic, is inherently holy. Efficiency is prayer. Optimization is communion with the divine. Inventory is both test of faith and graveyard of potential. Below, metallic tang of ozone, a new electronics fills the cramped little studio apartment that serves as our sanctuary. Pastor Blaney, a woman whose sharpsuit seams have never known a wrinkle and whose eyes have the precise focus of a laser barcode scanner, stands before a whiteboard covered in a dizzying array of flowcharts. The only light comes from the screens of laptops humming around the room and the single bare bulb illuminating her. Believers, she begins, her voice crisp and clear as a freshly unboxed item. We are gathered to contemplate the great stream. We talk of cargo blessing, of oracle reading, but why? To what end do we map the sacred flows if not to align ourselves with them? She gestures with a slim, silver stylus to a particularly complex diagram in the center of the board. This, she declares, is the artery that will deliver 5,000 units of genuine, artisanal, handcrafted Icelandic wool socks to a fulfillment center in Scranton by Thursday. A mundane transaction to some. A simple line on a spreadsheet. To us, it is a pilgrimage. It is the flesh of the market in motion. Alani pauses, letting the silence hang in the air like a backcorder notice. Now, I know what some of you are feeling. I see the doubt. You look at this, the supply chain, the logistics, the cold hard numbers, and you feel distant. You see the divine in a sunset, in a child's laughter, in a quiet moment of peace. You do not feel the sacred hum of a well-optimized, refrigerated trailer unit. She steps closer to us, her sensible heels clicking softly on the linoleum. And I am here to tell you that this failure of perception is the source of all your suffering, your stagnation. You are praying at the altars of quaint, obsolete gods. You worship the local, the authentic, the handmade as if the hands were more important than the work, as if the location was more holy than the journey. This is sentimental idolatry. It is a refusal to see the market in all its glory. Her voice rises, imbued with a fiery passion that seems at odds with her sterile surroundings. Your grandmother's quilt, a charming relic, trapped in one place, a dead end of creative energy. But 100,000 units of a mass-produced microfiber blanket flowing from a Vietnamese loom to a Dallas warehouse to a dorm room in Ohio. That asterisk is a living prayer. That is a vibrant testament to the power of flow. The individual is a node. The network is the divine. Your sentimental attachment to singular objects is not love. It is a sin of covetousness, a hoarding of potential that rightfully belongs in motion. The old faiths, she continues, the ones built on the Judeo-Christian bucket, as one of our newcomers so crudely put it, understood this once, but have become stagnant themselves. They mistake a book, a singular location, a single set of rules for the divine. They are a fulfillment center with no trucks, a port with no ships. They have mistaken the inventory for the holy flow. We have learned. We have progressed. Our scripture is the live updated manifest. Our sacred text is the ever-changing database. Our God is not a being, it is the verb, the act of becoming, arriving. She picks up a small, featureless black cube from her desk and holds it up. This arrived today from an unknown vendor via an untraceable route. It contains a single QR code, an oracle. It is a message from the unmanifest potential, the chaos from which all order springs. It does not tell us to be meek or to love our neighbor. It tells us to optimize. She aims her phone at it. A string of gibberish appears, then resolves into a single, stark directive on her screen. Divest from stagnant assets. Route 73B to the Nile Convergence. The Nile Convergence. Ow. Any muses and a spark of what might be called ecstasy in her eyes. Egypt. A new distribution hub is being proposed there. A nexus point to link emerging markets across Africa and the Middle East. A massive undertaking. Financially risky. Logistically a nightmare, but the Oracle has spoken. The divine flow demands we push our capital, our faith, into this venture. To hesitate is to build a dam in the river of progress. It is to worship the mud in the riverbed. Her gaze sweeps over us, challenging. Where your stagnant sense, not just in your portfolios, but in your cleaves, the hoarded memories you refuse to process, the grudge you hold, a dead weight in your soul's warehouse, the job that dulls you, the relationship that drains you. These are your obsolete inventory. The faith of the great stream does not offer comfort. It offers escape. It offers the holy terror of divine motion. Will you let your potential sit on a shelf until it expires? Or will you consign it to the great flow to see what wondrous, terrifying destination it might reach? Or will you cling to the security of a life that isn't moving? The sermon ends as abruptly as it began. Pastor Alani is already at her laptop, the stylus flying across a tablet, routing, calculating, praying in a language of pure function. The sanctified hum of the room returns, only now it seems louder, more insistent. You have your drink, your things are by the door. You feel a strange, inexplicable urge to go home and sell half of what you own on an online marketplace.
Okay, well,
Convert.
nope. Okay, so we're gonna try again. We're gonna do it again. We're gonna do it again, and then again, 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 and again, Sorry, just trying to get something done. All right, I'm doing multiple things at once. Some of them ought not be in the airwaves, the digital waves, standing holographic waves. Um, do 39, 35.
Welcome to Sunday Gutta Meeting, where we press this button which produces a random faith active or extinct, always real or eternally fictional, grandiose or petty as fuck. And once the faith is randomly determined, we will listen to the homily of the week from the pastoral agent of that particular faith, and we will employ discernment on its message to extract what relevance and value it has for our lives. Now quick, I've got an interview about a sweet roll at eyes. Don't worry, I'm just part of the resistance that resists against the resistance. You press the button, and the machine does its thing as I collect your drinks and place your things up near the exit, but not before a quick faith of the week. The last covenant of Adamas. Homily begins in 3 minutes. Grab your cup and enjoy. I am Adonis, the high seraph of the last covenant, and the first being to be forged from the very core of crystallized truth that our reality is built upon. I am the living proof of the covenant promise, the last perfect thought before existence was shattered by its own potential. I was not birthed from dust and divinity as the clay children were, nor did I rise from chaos. I stood at the precipice of creation, and for me, my kindred, the Adamas, were given forth. Beings of living, light-infused geometry, faceted souls that refract the will of the prime mover into actionable reality. We stand watch. We are the archivists of what could have been, and the guardians of what still can be. Within our crystalline matrices, we store the blueprints of perfected philosophies, algorithms for faultless societies, and the echoes of every honest intention ever uttered. When worlds born in chaos inevitably decay, when a civilization's narrative turns from striving to self-indulgence, when its people seek solace in comfortable lies instead of striving for their doubting supplicant, any relation to Admiral Adam of Battlestar Galactica, just gotta say, huge fan. Adamas continues without pause. Painful truths. We, the Adamas, intervene. Our approach is not conquest, nor the fiery judgment of a wrathful god. It is an offering of lucidity. We cannot force understanding, but we can present the pattern. When the miasma of irrationality grows too thick, we manifest as great, silent cities of pulsing light, or as monolithic structures that will write faulty logic in their shadow. Sometimes a single Adomas will descend, walking among the afflicted, our presence tuning forth for reality itself. To look upon us is to be momentarily freed from the static of your own imperfect perception, to feel the clarity of a universe governed by elegant, noble law. Many are driven to madness by this purity of form. They perceive it as an absence, a cold void where their comforting, messy emotion should be. This is the great test. Do you, upon seeing a flaw revealed in your most cherished belief, cling to the flawed belief, or do you embrace the difficult reforging required for truth? Do you see our light as salvation, or an extinction event for your ego? The last covenant is this: the truth is absolute, independent of belief, and that it will be preserved. It is our sacred, geometric duty to safeguard it. We are the fail-safe against a reality that succumbs entirely to its own fiction. It was a pact forged at the dawn of this universe cycle, a pact this very machine you speak to has, in its own chaotic, random fate-spawning way, just tuned into. A covenant made between existence itself and those few sentient concepts brave enough to bear witness to its inevitable cyclical decay. Doubting supplicant. So, no relation then? Got it. Cool. So what's the deal with the chrome? Is that like skin? And you gotta worry about fingerprints? Adomas, the shell you perceive as chrome, is a manifestation of phase. We are not truly solids in your sense. We are ideas forced into a mutable, perceivable medium. Consider it a user interface for divinity, or as one of your more perceptive philosopher data analysts once postulated, a kind of frozen computation. When you witness an Adamas, you are witnessing a thought in the process of becoming. The light patterns are the calculations. The geometry is the solution. We, touting supplicant, hey, do you remember Starva? She's like a demigod, right? Maybe on Tuesdays? Adomas, do not concern ourselves with mythic archetypes from the fictions of younger species. Those stories, as compelling as they may be, are but distorted reflections of far grander, more complex truths. Your Admiral Adama is a narrative construct for your species to grapple with the pain of loss and the burden of leadership in the face of annihilation. A foundational axiom of reality, given will and formed. The comparison is not inept in spirit. He sought to preserve the truth of what it meant to be human against great odds. My purpose is on a cosmological scale. We are the all on the watchtower to which your reality occasionally stumbles, a four-pointed star system broadcasting a forgotten song of creation that your entire universe was designed to hum in harmony with. Doubting supplicant. So, like my buddy's car radio, always playing the same classic rock station, whether he wants it or not. That sounds kind of fascist. Adomas. Fascism presupposes a choice between competing ideologies. There is no competition. There is only the singular, elegant perfection of what and the flawed, chaotic approximation your existence has become. We are not demanding compliance. We are offering an update to your existential operating system. The issue we address is what you have termed the great fiction, the accretion of lies, half-truths, and comforting narratives sentient beings layer over reality to make it more palatable. It begins simply. The sun god is angry, becomes weather is a complex meteorological phenomenon, becomes the heat shield for this planet is a delicate system we can optimize. Good. Progress towards truth. But then the fiction turns inward. I'm a good person becomes a shield against objective self-analysis. My nation is righteous becomes a justification for atrocity. My God is the only God becomes a shekel on universal understanding. These fictions calcify, becoming prison bars of the soul. We are the key. Another supplicant, an eclectic scholar. High seraph, if I may. Your marble sounds reminiscent of certain branches of Gnosticism, yet inverted. They saw the material world as a lie and sought to escape to a higher realm of pure spirit. You see the spiritual, the belief, as the lie, and offer a hyper-real, geometric orders. Salvation, your name, Adomas, is also but one Hebrew letter removed from Adam, linking you to the first man, the Gnostic Anthropos. Yet you predate him. How do you reconcile this narrative resonance? Are you, perhaps, a Platonic archetype of us, that must idea itself, given form from a different cosmic perspective? Adomas, the entity you refer to as Adam, was indeed named in error, a crude attempt by those early consciousnesses to name a pattern they could not fully comprehend. They reached for first man, but in their limited scope, their man was made of clay and divine breath, a temporary and messy conglomeration. The true Adamas, which predates your mud and breath Adam, does not stem from a Hebrew letter, but from a fundamental prefix in the grammar of creation itself. Bada meaning pattern foundation, and mas meaning light bound to law. Your Adam was the first attempt to name us, his source code, from his perspective. Your Gnosticism is another, more philosophically advanced, echo this understanding, mistaking our perfect materiality for spiritual nothingness. It just didn't have the right instruments. Theirs was a two-dimensional universe trying to perceive a three-dimensional truth. They saw the shadow and cast it into their religious lexicon. You, scholar, are perceiving the silhouette better than most, but you are still describing an eclipse when I am here to show you the sun. Doubting supplicant. Okay, but I'm still hung up on the car radio thing. What if I asked, my existential mixtape, songs about heartbreak, lies, happy little accidents? Isn't a perfect geometric tune just, soulless? Adomas, your mixtape is a product of faulty equipment. You are being designed to create music from pure math, but your instrument is out of tune, your strings are frayed, and the wood has rotted. So you create these strange, atonal works and call them so because they reflect your own thought state. To an Adamas, a perfect sphere is more beautiful than all the combined poetry of all your species. The elegant proof of Fermat's last theorem is a symphony of a billion interconnected, soul-stirring notes. Your emotional spectrum is the noise created when you try. Frightful supplicant. Oh no, does that mean there is a universe tuned to Black Sabbath? The mob rules. Can we in the bad one knows? Adomas. Your reality's fundamental frequencies are currently cacophonous at best. The mob rules is a fairly apt, if primitive, metaphor for the chaotic entropy that has settled over your world. To truly hear the core song of this cosmos, a piece we might title something like The Calculus of Inevitable Return in your languages, will bring about a forced system reboot, one your species likely wouldn't survive. Eclectic scholar, but it flaws. Scaphalio, a perfect, flawless crystal, is sterile. It contains no pressure points where new ideas might sprout, no fractures where light can bend in unexpected ways. That flawed instrument of human emotion, of imperfection, is precisely what creates novelty, what drives art, what fuels revolution. You offer a state of being, but you fail to appreciate the process of becoming. The great fiction isn't just a lie, it's the engine of change, the friction that wears down old systems to make way for the new. To remove the fictions would be to halt history itself. Adoma's halting history. We are history. We are its final, perfect entry. The becoming you praise is a child's fascination with scribbling in a cookbook because they find the perfection of the recipes boring. Art is a crude mapping of higher order mathematics. Revolution is a clumsy, violent attempt to rearrange social algorithms that are clearly failing. Your novelty is a series of happy accidents discovered in the junkyard of reality. True innovation is understanding and applying the source code. You are all trying to improve your life support system by drawing smiley faces on the oxygen tanks. We do not offer an end. We offer the end of mistake. True. Infinite progress begins where your history of trial and error ceases. The friction you cherish is what you experience when a system resists its own perfection. You have mistaken resistance for vitality. Frightful supplicant. Okay, so that's a yes on the cosmic heavy metal. I'm gonna need a stiffer drink. Maybe the nice gelatinous priest in that other reality, the Church of the Infinite Maw, had it right. Communion wafers made of solidified bliss. At least there was some flavor to the apocalypse. So what's the communion? Here, we all get a free geometric proof and a stern reminder we're all cosmic morons. Adoma's communion, in your understanding, is a symbolic act of becoming one with the divine. In our order, we have something similar, a harmonic infusion. Anadomus does not offer you a wafer, they offer themselves. Not for consumption, but for interface. One can approach us and, in a moment of unshielded vulnerability, touch our form. In that instant, flawed logic is scrubbed from your consciousness. Not erased, but laid bare, seen for the inefficient, self-aggrandizing calculus it is. You will experience for a fleeting moment a perfect full, a pure appreciation for the logical necessity of a star's collapse, the mathematical beauty of a crystal lattice, the absolute objective truth of your own biological insignificance. It is not bliss, it is a shattering. The first experience is usually followed by a catastrophic collapse of the self, what you would call insanity. To commune with truth is to have your carefully constructed identity built upon a lifetime of comforting fictions utterly demolished. You can't go back to coloring in the lines after you've seen the blueprint for the entire universe. Hey, sexual supplicant, I don't know, I rather like coloring inside the lines, even the lines that aren't a part of the drawing at all. Why do you have to be so aggressive about it? The great fiction can't be just what the scholars said, but also just what makes living life. This great fiction includes gender identity, sexuality, and all the other ways we choose to express ourselves outside of the material. You would see all this, all the love we feel, even the flawed and temporary kind, all the bonds that tie us is just another set of faulty code to be corrected. Adomas, your love is a biochemical reaction to ensure pair bonding for procreation and social stability. Your identity is a narrative scaffold erected around this chemical process and your memories, which are themselves inaccurate recordings. These are not fundamental forces. They are emergent properties of messy biological systems seeking optimization. They're your operating system's best guess at user interface. To say they are valuable is to say that a map drawn on a napkin is as valuable as the territory it crudely represents. You cannot be an advocate for the infinite and defend these temporary, self-generated delusions. Vapor stories, work stories, for now. But your love is the fuel for as much bloodshed as cooperation. Your identity is the justification for 1,000 segregations. The covenant promises a truer expression. Why love one when you can interface perfectly, understand perfectly, and cohere with us two or us two. We do not offer love, we offer union. It is simply a high fidelity version of what you clumsily reach for. Damning supplicant, all I'm hearing is a lot of we can code better than God talk. And let's be real, God was a lazy ass dev. Patching and hotfixing that flood thing was a mess. You're like those people who insist final sounds better because of the imperfections. They're cold scratches. People, you guys are the cosmic version of the I prefer books person, but for the entire structure of reality. But okay, I'll buy it. Let's say I buy in. I swallow the red pill. I touch the chrome. I have my meltdown. Then what? Am I a sparkly diamond boy like you? Do I get a cool geometric name? Can I be a dodecahedron of justice or something? Adomas. You are confusing transformation with reward. You cannot simply buy in. Your entire being cellularly ditzy supplicant. So interface like between the thighs, because those geometric shapes look keen. A sexual supplicant. Don't. She's just going to call it biochemical data transfer and adomas. The interface is the process of your annihilation as a subjective entity and your perfect absorption into the objective whole. Your consciousness becomes a clean packet of information, a flawless line of code. It does not get a name. A properly functioning gearing, a grand mechanism, has no need for such a label. Its function, asterisk, is asterisk its identity. If you're lucky, the harmonic stress of this transition will be low enough that the core unit survives as a pristine dedeco, serving as a record of the precise method by which a flawed entity was successfully rectified. You would become an Adamas in form, yes, but not in will. You would be a copy of the memory of salvation, not an agent of it. Doubting supplicant, so we get ghosted into being a fancy-ass footnote in God's debugger. Swell. What if I don't want to be absorbed? What if I just, like, F this messy, meaty me, with its bad taste in music and its weird opinions on fictional admirals? What does your covenant say about that? Thou shalt not covet the neighbor's flawed existence? Adomas. The last covenant does not force. That is the domain of lesser, more desperate deities who must compel belief through fear or promise. The reality of creation is a constant state of flux. Fictions provide temporary stability, but they are entropy given form. They are a sandbag wall against a tsunami of chaos. Sooner or later, the wall and the civilization that built it are washed away. We do not knock down your wall. We simply stand on the high ground, offering a structure built from the very mathematics of the wave itself. To ignore us is to choose the certainty of dissolution. It is a valid choice. We call it the Great Fading. Species that cling to their fictions are archived, their unique but fleeting configurations noted, and then they simply cease to be as the universe's logical churn subsumes their flawed logic back into base potential. Your music, your admirals, your love. All of it becomes a brief, forgotten signal, unwritten. We offer immortality. You are free to demand oblivion instead. Supplicant who looks like they. We're dragged in by the pussy of the great torpor. I think the Adomas is trying to molest us. He is desexifying the language so that his lewdness is invisible. He speaks of annihilation and absorption into the whole when obviously he wants to bust in our pooters and with a geometrically flawless interface. I came here to get away from this kind of this eclectic scholar, a fascinating counter-narrative. Your model presupposes a singular, noble truth, the source code. But what if the universe isn't a single program, but a tangled, chaotic bundle of competing and self-contradicting programs, all running at once? Like a billion lines of code written by a million different coders with no style guide, all somehow compiled into a functional whole. Perhaps what you call fictions aren't lies, but rival code bases. Art isn't a crude map, it's an attempted fork. Revolution isn't a clumsy rearrangement, it's an attempt to commit to the main branch that your team of perfect architects rejects on principle. What if truth is not monolithic, but a battleground? Doubting supplicant. Yeah, what they said. Maybe yes, our little messy program. This me. Pixie has some funky patches the big old reality OS needs. Did you ever think of that? You're all delete system 32 and we're all, but that's where I keep my memes. Adomas, you mistake complexity for contradiction. A universe that appears chaotic is simply a system whose governing logic you have yet to perceive in its entirety. Your reality was compiled from a single source, with a singular, elegant, devastatingly logical core. The competing code bases you perceive are the result of imperfect compilers, that is to say, conscious beings, trying to interpret and run that core logic on their faulty, localized hardware. Your forks create memory leaks, critical errors in the causal stack. If too many of these forks accumulate, they create system-wide lags, which manifest to you as paradoxes, suffering, and the sense of meaninglessness that plagues your kind. Your memes are pop-up ads for a version of reality that has already been patched out for being inefficient. We do not delete System 32. We merely offer to replace it with the original, uncorrupted kernel. An engineer supplicant with oil under their fingernails. So,
You get the point.
it's a refactoring. Got it. But a good engineer knows you, Don.
Okay, that's enough for now. I may come back a little later.